She betrayed me on the very day I planned to propose to her. Remember I used to tell you about Katia? My Katia, the one I'd been with for almost 3 years. The one I saw as my wife, the mother of my future children, the one I imagined spending my entire life with growing old together. Well, this story is all about her. And it started, no, not like that. It really began long before that fateful day. But the absolute climax, the point of no return, happened right then. It was a Thursday, a perfectly ordinary, unremarkable Thursday. Little did I know, it was about to become the most remarkable and soul-crushing day of my life. I woke up before her that morning. The sun was just beginning to peek through the curtains, casting a soft glow across the room, and her hair was spread across the pillow like a golden waterfall. She looked so incredibly peaceful and beautiful in her sleep that I couldn't tear my eyes away. And in that precise moment, a profound certainty washed over me. Today was the day I would ask her to marry me. I had meticulously planned every single detail. The ring had been tucked away in my drawer for weeks, hidden securely, waiting for this moment. The location was set, our favorite restaurant by the lake, the very spot where we first confessed our love to each other. I'd arranged for the right music, ordered the specific flowers she adored, and had a bottle of chilled champagne ready. I even practiced my proposal speech, rehearsing in my head countless times. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit silly, but I genuinely wanted everything to be absolutely perfect, a moment she would cherish forever. We had breakfast together, just like any other day. I made her favorite cottage cheese pancakes, light and fluffy, just the way she liked them. She was radiant, chatting excitedly about her plans for the day, about a new dress she wanted to buy, about some mundane work stuff. Everything felt normal, comfortable, familiar. Yet, deep down, something felt off. I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. Maybe it was just my own overwhelming nervousness making me overthink everything, searching for cracks where there were none. Did her smile seem a little forced? Or was it just my burgeoning paranoia playing tricks on me? I dismissed these nascent anxieties, attributing them to the immense pressure I felt, the anticipation of such a significant moment. I told myself it was just pre-proposal jitters, nothing more. Around 10 in the morning, her phone rang. She picked it up, her movements a little too quick, and then walked into the next room, turning her back to me. I could only catch snippets of her whispered conversation. Yes, today, and by 6, and don't worry, I'll handle everything. My mind immediately began to spin, generating a whirlwind of possibilities. Was it a surprise for me? Was she planning a birthday party for one of her friends? Or perhaps she was organizing something for our own evening plans, knowing I had something special in mind? But then why the secrecy? Why the hushed tones and the need to leave the room? She returned a few moments later, a strange, almost too bright smile plastered on her face. "The girls called," she said, her voice a touch too casual. "They want to go shopping. You don't mind if I'm a bit late, do you?" Of course I didn't mind. How could I? I was so consumed by my own grand plans, convinced that this day was my day, that I would be the sole star of her show. The entire day was a whirlwind of preparation for me. I called the restaurant again, double-checking our reservation and the special requests I'd made. I went to the florist and picked up the enormous bouquet of her favorite white roses. They were pristine, fragrant, and perfect. I even managed to squeeze in a quick trip to the barber to make sure I looked absolutely impeccable for the evening. My heart soared with a mixture of excitement and anticipation. I spent hours envisioning her reaction, her eyes wide with surprise, the tears of joy streaming down her face, her beautiful smile, and finally, her unequivocal yes. My pulse quickened just thinking about it. I was utterly, blissfully, and tragically naive. As the evening approached, and I was just about to leave for the restaurant, my phone buzzed with a new message. It wasn't from Katia. It was from a number I didn't recognize, from a woman whose name meant nothing to me. The message read, "I just saw your girlfriend. She looked very happy, in the park by the fountain, with another guy. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a wrong number, or maybe some twisted prank. Could it be one of my friends, try to mess with me before the big proposal? But then, that morning's phone call, her hushed tones, her strange smile, it all flooded back. A cold dread, like an icy hand, clutched at my stomach. I told myself I had to verify it. It simply couldn't be true. Katia, my Katia, wouldn't do something like that. It had to be a misunderstanding. I started walking towards the park, even though I knew our table at the restaurant was waiting, reserved, and decorated. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I prayed, begged the universe for it to be a simple misunderstanding. I hoped to see her with a girlfriend, or a male cousin, or just a random stranger who happened to be walking by. Anything, absolutely anything, but what my mind was starting to conjure. And then I saw them. There they were by that very same fountain where we had spent countless hours, sitting close, dreaming about our future together. She was laughing, a carefree, joyous sound that echoed hollowly in my ears. He was holding her hand, and I recognized them both. It was my best friend, Andre, the man who knew all my secrets, all my dreams, the one I had trusted implicitly, with whom I had shared every single detail of my life. The ground beneath me seemed to disappear, swallowed by a sudden, sickening void. I couldn't move. I was utterly paralyzed, a silent observer to the shattering of my entire world. I just stood there, watching as my meticulously built dream crumbled into a million irreparable pieces. They looked so happy together, so in love. And me? I stood there, the engagement ring heavy and cold in my pocket, the bouquet of white roses, once vibrant with promise, now beginning to wilt in my trembling hands. All my plans, all my hopes, all my future, it all vanished in a single agonizing moment. The air felt thick, suffocating. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face, but I made no effort to wipe them away. This wasn't just pain. It was a devastating cocktail of crushing disappointment, soul-wrenching betrayal, the agony of a broken heart, and a furious, burning rage that simmered deep within me. Rage at her for her deceit. Rage at him for his treachery. And perhaps most painfully, rage at myself for being so utterly blind, so incredibly trusting, so unbelievably foolish. I turned and walked away. I just walked. I couldn't bear to look at them for another second. I didn't know where I was going, just put one foot in front of the other, blindly moving forward. My phone vibrated endlessly in my pocket. It was probably Katia, or maybe the restaurant calling to confirm. I didn't care. All I wanted was to simply disappear, to cease to exist in a world that had just been so cruel. I found myself in some dimly lit bar, the kind with sticky floors and cheap liquor. I ordered the strongest drink they had. One, then a second, then a third. I desperately wanted this crushing emptiness, this sickening ache in my chest, to simply vanish. But it didn't. It only grew stronger, more pervasive, like a black hole consuming everything within me. Each sip only seemed to sharpen the edges of my pain. My phone rang again. It was Katia. I stared at the caller ID, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I couldn't bring myself to answer. What would I even say to her? Hey, darling, I just saw you making out with my best friend while I was on my way to propose to you. The words stuck in my throat, laced with an unbearable bitterness. It would have been too much, too raw, too painful to even articulate. I don't remember how I got home that night. The entire journey was a blur, a foggy haze of despair and alcohol. I woke up on the couch the next morning, a pounding headache echoing the throbbing pain in my chest. The crushing realization of what had happened hit me with full force. The ring, still nestled in my pocket, felt like a burning ember, a silent, mocking testament to my shattered dream. The next day, she called again. Her voice was strained, laced with a feigned concern. Where were you? I was so worried. I couldn't hold back anymore. Worry, I croaked, my voice hoarse and raw. Are you serious, Katia? Because Katia, saw you in the park. With Andre. A deafening silence followed, a void filled only by the ringing in my ears. She immediately launched into a torrent of excuses. It was an accident, she claimed, a coincidence. He was just helping her with something, they just happened to run into each other. We're just friends, she insisted. her voice trembling slightly. You misunderstood everything. But her voice was thin, reedy, and I knew, with a sickening certainty, that she was lying. Every word felt like a fresh stab. I asked her to come over. She arrived, her eyes red and swollen, undoubtedly from crying. She tried to embrace me, to offer some semblance of comfort, but I recoiled. I walked over to the table, pulled the ring from my pocket, and placed it gently on the polished wood. I was going to propose to you, Katia. That very day. Her face drained of all color. She stared at the ring, then at me, then back at the ring again. It was as if, in that precise moment, the full, devastating weight of her actions finally crashed down on her. Her eyes welled up with tears, and her composure utterly shattered. She confessed. Every agonizing detail was true. They had been seeing each other for months. Andre and Katia, my girlfriend and my best friend. She mumbled something about being confused, about not wanting to hurt me. It was so incredibly awful, so profoundly painful, that I couldn't even summon the energy to be angry anymore. Just a vast, aching emptiness that I simply told her to leave. I couldn't bear to look at her any longer, not after everything. I couldn't bring myself to say another word. Our relationship, our shared future, everything we had built, ended in that single, crushing moment, shattered into countless tiny fragments, just like my heart. The next day, I met with Andre. He looked utterly wretched, guilt etched onto every line of his face. He tried to offer his own lame excuses, muttering about how it was an accident, how he didn't know how it happened, how he was confused too. I just stared at him, and what I saw was a stranger. The man I had trusted implicitly, the man I considered a brother, had revealed himself to be a deceitful traitor. The friendship, once so solid, evaporated into thin air. I cut all ties with both of them. It was excruciatingly difficult, perhaps the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Katia wasn't just a girlfriend. She was my entire world. And Andre was my rock, my confidant. But I realized, with a clarity that was both painful and liberating, that I could never trust either of them again. The betrayal was too deep, the wound too severe. A lot of time has passed since then. A truly significant amount. I've navigated through waves of overwhelming pain, seething anger, and profound despair. There were days, weeks, even months when I honestly believed I would never recover, that I would be stuck in that dark place forever. But gradually, painstakingly, the wounds have begun to heal. Not completely, of course. Scars remain, serving as stark reminders of what I endured. This whole ordeal, as devastating as it was, taught me so many invaluable lessons. It taught me to truly appreciate those who are genuinely by your side, those who are loyal and true. It taught me to be more cautious, yes, but not to become cynical and closed off. It taught me that life is inherently unpredictable, and that even in the darkest, most seemingly hopeless situations, you can find the strength to pick yourself up and keep moving forward. That I'm a different person now. Stronger, wiser, more resilient. I still believe in love, though I approach it with a newfound caution and a clearer understanding of trust. My heart isn't broken anymore. It's simply rewired, redesigned, perhaps even more capable of depth and empathy. And I finally understand that on that day, the day my world seemingly collapsed, it was actually the beginning of a brand new journey for me. A journey back to myself. Even after all this time, the echoes of that day sometimes resurface. A particular song on the radio, a certain scent, or even just seeing a couple holding hands by a fountain. These small things can sometimes bring a fleeting pang of what used to be. It's not the sharp, gut-wrenching pain it once was, but more like a phantom limb ache. You know, it's not there anymore, but your body still remembers the feeling. It's a reminder that some experiences leave an indelible mark, shaping who you become. The hardest part, by far, has been learning to trust again. Not just others, but also myself. For a long time, I questioned my judgment, my intuition. How could I have been so blind? So oblivious? Every new relationship, every new friendship came with an invisible wall around my heart. Slowly, painstakingly, brick by brick, I'm learning to dismantle that wall. It takes time, immense patience, and the understanding that not everyone is out to hurt you. But the ghost of past betrayal is a powerful specter. As I healed, I also started to look inward. Was there anything I could have done differently? Did I miss any signs? While the betrayal was unequivocally theirs, I had to confront my own role in the dynamic. Perhaps I was too trusting, perhaps I put her on a pedestal that was unfair, perhaps I was too focused on the perfect future to see the cracks forming in the present. This self-reflection wasn't about blaming myself, but about understanding my part in the story, so I could grow. Funnily enough, some of the most unexpected support came from people I barely knew, or from friends that had their own stories of heartbreak. Sharing my experience, even just a little, created a connection, a sense of solidarity. It turns out, broken hearts are far more common than you'd think, and the shared understanding can be incredibly powerful. These new connections helped me realize I wasn't alone in my pain. After the dust settled, I spent a lot of time by myself. Not in isolation, but in solitude. I rediscovered hobbies, read books, took long walks, and simply reconnected with myself. This period of being alone was crucial. It allowed me to process, to heal, and to truly understand who I was outside of a relationship. It was a time of introspection and self-discovery, laying the foundation for a stronger, more independent me. Forgiveness. That's a loaded word, isn't it? For a long time, the mere thought of forgiving them felt impossible, a betrayal of my own pain. But as time wore on, I realized that holding on to that anger was only hurting me. It was a heavy chain I was dragging everywhere. Forgiving them wasn't about excusing their actions. It was about releasing myself from the bitterness. It's an ongoing process, not a switch you flip, but the intention is there. My definition of happiness has changed significantly. Before, it was often tied to shared experiences, to a future with someone else. Now, I find joy in the small things. A good cup of coffee, a sunny day, a productive work session, a genuine laugh with a friend. Happiness isn't a destination with a specific person anymore. It's a series of moments, a state of being, something I cultivate within myself. Those scars I mentioned, they're not just reminders of pain. They're also proof of resilience. They show that I survived something incredibly difficult and came out on the other side. They've made me more empathetic, more perceptive, and perhaps even a better judge of character. They're a part of my story, a testament to the strength I didn't even know I possessed. Life moves on, doesn't it? The world keeps spinning, even when yours feels like it stopped. And with each passing day, each new experience, a new chapter begins. I don't know what the future holds, but I face it with an open heart, albeit a wiser one. I'm ready for new adventures, new connections, and new possibilities. The old chapter is closed, sealed, and put away. So here I am, standing on the precipice of something new, something unknown. I've learned, I've grown, and I've survived. And while that specific story of betrayal shaped a part of me, it doesn't define my entire being. It's just one chapter in a much larger book.